The UFC tells fighters that if they keep winning, stay professional, and do everything the right way, they'll get rewarded. Tom Aspinall did exactly that, and the UFC still screwed him over.
This is the only sport in the world that I know of that you can have somebody hold your career back.
Yep.
Despite becoming the best heavyweight in the world, he was forced to sit on the sidelines and wait. And the deeper you look into his career, the harder it becomes to blame bad luck. Because Aspinall's story exposes a much bigger problem, one that affects almost every fighter on the roster. So how did the UFC's model employee become proof that the UFC system is broken? He grew up in Atherton, just outside Manchester, and started training at 7 years old. His dad, Andy, was the coach, the cornerman, and basically the whole team rolled into one.
He got me into the sport. He's been at every training session since, all around the world. He's trained with me. We've been to loads of top level gyms, mate, and I always train with him. I train MMA in the morning, and me and my dad would do technique in the afternoon every day for 22 years.
There was no management company and no carefully built brand. It's hard to imagine now, but back then, he was a pretty average looking guy. Then he had a growth spurt that changed everything, taking him from 5'8" to 6'5" and turning a teenager who loved jiu-jitsu into a genuine heavyweight.
Because when I started off, I was like a young kid, I was small.
Yeah.
So like I was training with men when I was like 12, 13, 14.
Jesus Christ.
So I was just getting like smashed all the time.
Yeah.
And at the time, obviously, that was pretty shit. Like, I'm a young kid getting swished off everybody. But I feel like that like stood me in good stead to learn the techniques properly, learn how to be like beat up and be able to learn how to do things technically proficiently. And then when I got big, I'm like, oh, it's my turn now.
And when the UFC came calling his name, he actually turned them down because he didn't think he was ready yet.
Like we spoke to the UFC and we were like, oh, shall we take the UFC contract? And I was a bit like, I think I want to get more experience, I think I want to finish this Cage Warriors contract and get as much experience as I can.
Most fighters would have signed on the spot. When he finally did sign, he wasted no time proving the wait was worth it. His debut lasted 45 seconds. Then he just kept doing it. He submitted Alexander Volkov, a tall, rangy, world-ranked striker with a first-round armbar that made it look routine.
It was very apparent very quickly, you're a different beast to a lot of these other heavyweights.
Yeah.
One after another, he finished ranked guys faster than pretty much anyone in the history of the division. He racked up performance of the night bonuses and held the shortest average fight time of anyone on the entire roster. People were calling him the most complete heavyweight the sport had ever produced and the obvious future of the division.
I also feel like you don't move like a heavyweight. You move like a fucking lightweight. Even like your movement reminds me of an old school Andre Arlovski when he would move. You have a nice rhythm. You're lighting your toes. You're not plotty. You're not like walking like a duck like you usually see heavyweights. Like you move very, very light in your feet. And that's why I thought your background came from boxing. But now that I hear you were sprinkled in all these disciplines and you grew up into that. So your body grew into that athleticism.
In almost any other sport, a talent like that dictates terms. He names his price, he prints money, and everyone bends around him. But Aspinall was the anti-Conor, just a humble guy who kept finishing people and trusted the system to reward him for it. He was about to find out exactly what that trust was worth. And if you want to go deeper on the biggest stories in the UFC, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next video. Tom's fight against Curtis Blades at the O2 Arena in London was supposed to be his coronation. It was a sold-out homecoming to the UK, and for Tom, there was a clear path to a title shot waiting on the other side. But the fight lasted about 15 seconds. Aspinall threw a low kick, stepped back, and his knee simply gave out underneath him.
It's never happened to me before. I've never had a fight in that early. I never had one in that early, and I never had one in that early because of an injury to my opponent. So I was like everyone else in the stands. I was shocked. I was disappointed. I was ready to fight. I obviously did the warm up. We came all the way out here to London. Like I'm ready to go. I'm prepared. I'm mindset's ready. I'm ready to fight, and fight's over.
Damn.
So that was weird.
The fight was waved off, and just like that, the unbeaten run was finished. And it wasn't really the loss that hurt the most. It was where it happened and who was watching.
When you lay on the floor, mate, holding your leg in front of 22,000 of your own fans who start leaving because that's a fucking ego death. And
Wow.
like that changed me for the better. Like, it was absolutely awful at the time. Like, it's one of the worst things that happened in my life. It was terrible. But ultimately, I came back so much stronger.
After that fight, he disappeared, said pretty much nothing, and spent close to a year rebuilding the knee and waiting for his way back. When he was able to fight again, he answered every question, fast. He knocked out the durable, ranked veteran Marcin Tybura inside the first round and looked exactly like the fighter everyone remembered. The doubts about the knee, the long layoff, any rust at all were gone in one performance. And then his chance arrived. When Jon Jones got hurt, the UFC added an interim title fight to salvage the card, and turned to the man who just reminded everyone how dangerous he was. On roughly 2 weeks' notice, Aspinall agreed to fight Sergey Pavlovich, a knockout artist on a 6-fight finishing streak for the interim heavyweight title. The loyal guy took the short notice risk nobody would have blamed him for turning down, and he won in 69 seconds.
He jumps in. 1, 2, lands, backs up. He's still in front of Tom. He's still in front of Sergey. He's not working his way over here and throwing a combination over here. He's throwing a combination in front. Even though he rocked him. Left hand, right hand, boom. Follows down, boom. And that's all he wrote. And he gets a free guard pass because he rocked him super hard.
Tom Aspinall became the first British heavyweight champion in UFC history. He did everything right, took every risk they asked of him, and finally had the belt to show for it.
I was really overwhelmed, and I think obviously winning the title is great, and like that's my lifelong dream. But also the circumstances that I was in, there was a lot happened behind the scenes, so to speak, i.e. taking the fight on 2 weeks' notice, i.e. not being in the best shape ever.
Back injury as well.
Also, I fucking injured my back.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't realise I was going to New York until 2 days before because I couldn't get a visa. And I had to be in London, like, dicking around a couple of times trying to get a visa. And when you got all that resting on your shoulders, mate, it's a lot. It's like I'm very regimented with my training. I'm very regimented with my life. My routine is everything to me. Like, I do the same things every day. And I didn't have any of that in this training camp. I call it a training camp. It wasn't a training camp, mate. You can't train for a fight in a week. Simple as that.
Yeah.
So it was none of that. I was way out of my comfort zone. So I think it was just pure relief more than anything.
Tom Aspinall had officially arrived. At least, that's what it looked like. Interim champions are supposed to fight for the title to unify the belts. But with Jon Jones ducking Tom, the UFC had no choice but to arrange a defense of the interim title. The fight was in Manchester against Curtis Blades, the same man who'd been standing across from him the night his knee gave out.
What's changed with you? It's been 2 years. Where have you made improvements since the last time you and Curtis squared up?
Oh, absolutely everywhere. I think it's every fight's different anyway. But I think now, like, everything's way different about me. I think, especially after my last performance, I took so much confidence from that. I took the fight on short notice. I took the fight injured, and I still managed to pull it off in the worst circumstances. And feeling pretty confident after that one, feeling pretty good.
This time, there was no fluke and no bad luck. Aspinall dropped him early and finished him on the ground in the first round, avenging the worst night of his career in front of his home crowd. It was the perfect statement.
I wanted to fight Blades again, and I wanted to fight at the O2 just so I can, like, mentally just tick them two things off and then move forward. And I did both of them, and I won both fights, so happy with that.
And then the division simply froze. The fight everyone actually wanted was Aspinall against the undisputed champion Jon Jones. It was the biggest heavyweight fight the UFC could possibly make, but it never came.
Is Jon Jones afraid to fight me? The honest answer would be yes.
Jones stalled, went quiet, and gave off the impression he wasn't all that interested in taking it. Reports claimed he was holding out for somewhere around $30 million just to make it happen.
At this stage in his career, he's had an amazing career. I just think that
he's like 37, 38 years old, but not only that, he's got 1 million miles on the clock. So he's got a lot of damage on the body. He's took a lot of shots to the head. And that's not me saying anything negative about it. That's the reality of it. And I'm sure Jon Jones is aware of that. When you put him in with, I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet, but I'm literally the most dangerous guy in the UFC if you look at the stats. When you put him in with a guy of my size who has them credentials at this stage in his career, I think Jon's a smart guy and he realises that, so he wants compensating financially for it.
Months passed with Aspinall stuck holding a belt that meant nothing until that fight got booked. He even showed up as the backup at UFC 309, ready to step in if Jones pulled out, and watched the whole night go ahead without him. Tom was the most dominant heavyweight on the planet, and he had absolutely nothing to do.
It is crazy that he just got the record for the longest interim champion ever in the UFC. Can you believe that? It's like I said before, this is the only sport where you can have somebody stifle your career.
Then the saga ended in the most anticlimactic way imaginable. Jones didn't lose the belt, and he didn't defend it against Aspinall. He retired.
Now, I've been thinking about that whole situation and being held up and frustrated for almost a year. And it's what I love doing. I've been held back for the whole time, and it's not been very fun, to be honest with you. So the ego side of my brain is like, yeah, I've kind of beaten without fighting him. And I did say that. I've said that the whole time, that I'm going to retire him without fighting him. But I don't kind of want to harp on about that, really. I want to kind of just put that behind me and move forward on my own path now.
The title was declared vacant, and Tom Aspinall was promoted to undisputed UFC heavyweight champion. The best heavyweight in the world finally got the full belt because Jon Jones chose to walk away rather than face him.
I think that there should be one guy in every division, and now that Jon's gone, obviously we didn't get to fight about it, which I would have liked, but at least there's one guy, and I'm happy with that moving forward.
It should have been the greatest moment of his career. Instead, it left a question over the whole reign that the fans would never get to answer. With Jon Jones out of the picture, the division had to move forward. Tom's first defense as the undisputed champion was against former interim title holder Cyril Gane.
He's good, and I think he brings a whole new challenge that I've not really had before. The same that I have with him. He's just like, his style is different to a lot of heavyweights. He moves really well.
Yeah.
He's nimble. He's super fit, super athletic. I think we're both going to be in a stage where I think to get to him, we both need to be pretty exhausted.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that's not something that I've really had to deal with too much before. A lot of heavyweights quite slow and ploddy. He isn't like that at all.
The fight started competitively, with Gane landing early and bloodying Aspinall's nose, and then Gane's fingers went straight into both of his eyes. Some eye pokes are just a graze, but this was knuckle deep.
And for all the critics, you need to know this, the right eye, that's the problem. But if you look at when he fought, his left eye, the finger went deeper in his left eye than it did his right eye. So if you think he's faking it, he was knuckle deep in that fucking left eye.
He was all up in that eye.
Yeah, I mean, it's horrible to see.
Aspinall told the doctor he couldn't see, and the fight was waved off as a no contest. He kept the belt, but he never got to defend it, and he walked out furious. In the cage, he made it plain that he hadn't quit, he'd been fouled, and there was nothing he could do about it.
Oh, look at how deep one of those fingers is into his eye, man. It's fucking insane.
But instead of protecting his champion, Dana White went in the complete opposite direction.
I can't make people fight. And you definitely can't make somebody continue if they feel they've been injured. Only Tom knows what happened. You know, could he see, couldn't he see, could he continue? Only he knows that.
Even though he didn't have the facts, the effect was instant. A big chunk of the fanbase turned on the guy who had just been fouled. Aspinall was diagnosed with serious trauma to both eyes, double vision, multiple surgeries, and a long, brutal recovery stretching across months. And as the layoff dragged on, some people in MMA media openly questioned why he'd been out so long.
I had that surgery, recovered, came back, and had a fight in a shorter amount of time than what it's taken this whole eye poke saga.
So was he a wrong champion or a man in no rush to come back? Honestly, it could be a bit of both. Another freak injury at the single worst moment to the one fighter who never caused the company any trouble. And after years of taking every setback without making a fuss, Aspinall was about to do something completely out of character. For his whole career, Aspinall had handled his business with a tiny team and almost no outside help. Then he signed with Eddie Hearn.
He is a man of the people, he's a real fighting man of integrity, and he's a stone cold killer as well. So how is this guy not an even bigger star that he is? How does he not have the backing? How is he not respected in certain rooms in the way that he should be? So couple that with the politics of everything that's going on and a cool little story as well, what we can create is the hype and the news that will, as we said, blow up the internet, and that's what it's done.
Hearn is one of the biggest promoters in boxing, and the deal was a commercial one, built to grow Aspinall's earnings while he kept fighting in the UFC. He became the first client of Hearn's brand new talent agency, and almost immediately Hearn went public. He looked at Aspinall's UFC contract and called it one of the worst deals he'd seen in any sport.
The situation with Tom is, and he is under contract with the UFC, but unfortunately for him, he has signed a contract which is one of the worst, most grossly underpaid athletes I've ever seen in the commercial world of sport.
Then he went further.
I would like Dana White to release Tom Aspinall from his UFC contract. And I will guarantee Dana White in writing that I will pay Tom Aspinall a minimum, probably 5 times more, but a minimum of 3 times more what Dana White is paying him.
He called Aspinall extremely unhappy and said he wouldn't let him step back in the cage for a fraction of what the show around him was earning. For a champion who'd never once complained in public, this was a complete change of tone. But it wasn't coming from nowhere. Aspinall's own father and head coach Andy had been pushing the same message for months.
My dad said that he wanted me to box from the beginning. And also, those remarks were coming from my dad and not me, but also, like, what did we get into this combat sports thing to do? Like, I'm a prize fighter. Like, before I had UFC champion and all that stuff on my Instagram bio, I had the word prize fighter there because we want to fight for the most money possible. Like, we're putting our health and safety on the line for other people's entertainment. So we want to do it for the most money possible.
Andy's case was simple, that boxing offered far bigger money and a cleaner way to cash in before the end, and that he didn't want his son signing another long UFC deal. Aspinall kept it measured, saying boxing wasn't really the goal and that he only wanted to add to his value while he fought in the UFC.
That was something I was actually thinking of doing at one point, is boxing. It's something that I definitely do before my career's over. But right now I feel like I'm nowhere near satisfied, mate, with what I've done. Like, yeah, I'm the heavyweight champion right now, but I've got so much more work to do, mate. I've not like won the title and I'm like, yes, I've achieved it. What's next? I'm like, yeah, I've got where I wanted to go. But fuck me, there's some absolute beasts behind me, and they've absolutely, like, the next 5 years, mate, of my life are going to be fucking a grind. They're going to be tough. They're going to be in the gym working. I'm going to be in fights all over the world, getting dropped, getting back up, and being exhausted constantly and going through the fucking pain to get where I want to go to be satisfied.
Dana, predictably, wasn't impressed.
Sounds pretty stupid, doesn't it? Congratulations again, Eddie. You sound stupid again.
He waved it off, said he didn't understand the move, and made clear nobody was forcing him into anything.
If Eddie's not going to let his fighter fight, what are you going to do? You can't make anybody fight. You can't force anybody to fight. You have to want to fight. So we'll see how it plays out.
But if the most dominant, most loyal champion in the company needs an outside promoter to publicly shame his own boss into paying him fairly, what does that say about the UFC? There are only 2 ways to get paid what you're worth in the UFC. You leave, or you make so much noise they can't afford to ignore you. Tom Aspinall did neither. Francis Ngannou looked at his deal, turned it down, and walked away to the biggest paydays of his life.
Like, first of all, I don't want that contract. The way that is structured, I don't want it. Doesn't matter what is in that contract or how much is in that contract, I'm not taking that contract.
Conor McGregor talked, taunted, and sold his way to a fortune nobody in the sport had ever seen.
I'm confident it's going to be a good a nice paycheck.
Most ever?
Probably in my mixed martial arts career, yeah.
Really? Can you give us the range? We knew how much you made for Mayweather.
Yeah, I'd say about, it could be, I'm estimating a good 80 million.
Two completely different routes, but at the end of the day, they both got rich. Aspinall stayed, kept quiet, and finished everyone they put in front of him. And he's the one stuck holding a belt he can't cash in.
I honestly think I've got to be one of the easiest people for the UFC to ever work with. Because, and that's not me like blowing my own trumpet. Everything they tell me I do. I never do anything like, they just told me for a year, be ready, stay fit, stay in shape, be ready for a date, be ready for a contract. And that's what I've done for the last year. I've not done nothing else. I've took like no vacations. I'm not taking no days off. I'm looking after my diet. I'm doing my recovery. I'm doing the sparring. I'm doing the strength and conditioning. I'm learning new techniques. I'm doing everything that a professional fighter at the elite level should be doing to get ready for a fight.
A fighter who never threatens to leave gives the company no reason to worry, and a company with no reason to worry never has to open its wallet. So the system didn't reward the loyal one. It rewarded the man who left, and the man who made the most noise, and it trapped the one who did everything the right way.
I've spoken to the UFC since, but I've not spoken to, me and Dana don't really speak like that anyway, so.
Ever?
No, ever.
Which leaves Aspinall with a choice. He can keep waiting, take the fight on their terms, or use that loud new team behind him to force the change himself. Either way, he just proves the whole UFC system is broken. What the UFC has done to Tom Aspinall is only one of the ways the UFC bends a career to suit the business. Sometimes it's far more brutal. For every new star the company wants to build, there's often a proven veteran being lined up to lose to them. To see exactly how the UFC sacrifices its legends to make its stars, check out this video next. Thanks for watching.